Something really exciting happened this week. I officially became a Dutch citizen after living in the Netherlands for more than 6 years now. In the last 10 years, I moved to different countries, was in 3 different immigrant statuses, and learned so much along the way. My journey was not really straightforward, and I want to share it with you to inspire those who are thinking about doing a similar thing like moving abroad, or who are already walking a similar path as me. So welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Maria, and on this channel I talk about career, life, travel, fashion, becoming your best self, all those things that are on the mind of a young woman who wants to live a bright life and achieve something in it. My journey began in 2012 when a 20-year-old version of me made her dream come true and got accepted into a master's program in Germany, and for the first time ever I went to live and study abroad completely on my own. If you are thinking about moving abroad in your 20s, going as a student could be the most straightforward option. Because first of all, after you graduate in Europe, you are often given some time to find a job and to permanently stay in this country. Also, while you're studying, you can take internships, you have an opportunity to learn the language and in general better integrate in the society. For me, Germany was the perfect choice for a country to study abroad. First of all, it was very cost efficient because at that time studying in Germany was almost free. I only had to pay like 100 euros per semester for some student fees, and the cost of living in my university town and in Germany in general was quite good. I also spoke quite good German, so that was basically a very straightforward choice. But in general, if you are considering Europe, know that there are countries where the education is quite affordable, if not free, it's almost free. And there are also many different scholarships available for you to cover the cost if you are a talent student. Of course, at the age of 20, I was not really planning or thinking long term where I would want to live, where I want to settle, and all things like this. Immigration was not really a thing that was on my mind. What I knew though is that I didn't want to stay in my home country forever or in my hometown. What I wanted is to explore and see what is out there for me and see if I like it and experience this. And now looking back at this experience, I 100% think that it's definitely worth it. Of course, it is a challenging experience, but being a student abroad in your 20s is going to give you so much cultural experience. It's going to enrich your life so much. So if you ever have a chance or an opportunity, please go ahead and pursue it, even for 1 semester. I remember that studying abroad in a different language, it was of course a very challenging experience. There was so much late night, sometimes even all night studying, and I even have this one book of advanced macro that has certain pages that are completely unreadable because of my tears, but I keep this as a humbling experience, but at the same time just a reminder that even what seems almost impossible at times can be done, and you will be able to nail this if you want to. So overall, I spent 2 amazing years in Germany, but then there was time to think about what's next. So when the time came, I started looking for internships and for graduate positions, and unlike the majority of my class, I didn't feel like staying in Germany for long term. And here comes the learning number 1. Even though you might think that it could be a great fit, you might know the language of the country that you move to quite well, it might not be the 100% fit, and you might not fall in love with the country enough to consider staying in it. Nevertheless, I was still applying for internships and those graduate positions like crazy, but then I started to also consider other options in other European countries. And one thing that you need to consider about internships in Europe from that time, and I think that even nowadays, is that a lot of student internships in Europe, they are either not paid or pay very little. I remember that there were salaries like 400 euros for a working student, or for about maybe 800 euros. I unfortunately could not afford that. I cannot tell you how happy I was when I found one graduate position that was offering a real salary, not like these 400, 800 type of student salaries, but a real grown-up salary for which you can afford to rent an apartment and something even more than just your basic necessities. And funny fact that halfway through the interviewing process, I actually found out that this position would require me to go to the Netherlands. And that would mean that I would have to obviously leave Germany to pursue this opportunity. And now it's super funny to think about it like this, but back in the days, I was feeling like a complete loser and outsider, that unlike the majority of my friends and university students that were planning to stay on in Germany, I had to do something different. But something in me told me that maybe it is for the better, maybe this is the right thing to do. So I went ahead with this, and I can say that I didn't regret it. Making this decision also meant that I had to be done with my master's program at least 6 months faster than it was supposed to be, because my master's program was supposed to be finished in 2.5 years, and I had to finish this in 2 years. What it also meant is that I had to take twice as many exams in my last semester and write my thesis simultaneously, but it had to be done, and then in the end it was done. And with that, the second chapter of my immigration began. Of course, I was also not considering this immigration at that time, and just at the age of 22 years old, I got a graduate position in an international tech company and moved to the Netherlands as a highly skilled migrant. I got a real salary, a real apartment, though shared with another person. So I felt quite proud of myself and extremely grown up. So a highly skilled migrant visa is a way for the Dutch government to attract young and highly educated people from abroad. One of the coolest perks about this program is the 30% ruling. It's a tax discount for your salary, which means that for the period of 5 years, it used to be 8 years, you would actually pay far less tax than you would supposed to pay as the citizen of the Netherlands. And another thing that I didn't even think about it at that time is that if you move to the Netherlands for work, so you are planning to go and work in an international company or even in a startup, you could easily get away with only speaking English, because the Netherlands is the country in Europe with the highest percentage of the population that speaks perfect English. So fast forward, I spent 1 year in the Netherlands, and it was time to decide what to do next again. And here comes another important aspect of my life. All this time we were doing long distance with my now husband and then boyfriend, who was really supporting and encouraging me along this whole journey. I was trying to convince him to come and live with me in the Netherlands, but it unfortunately didn't work out at that time. I was also thinking that I was far away from my family and from home for quite some time. So with a lot of back and forth, I took the decision to go back to my home country, Russia, and to live in Moscow for some time. Now, I know that this decision would put many people into a coma nowadays, but back then things were different. I was different, and I didn't really think so much about it. But with that came the biggest learning in my life, is that there is no such thing as going back in life. So the place that you have once left, it only exists in your memory from now on. So basically, one thing that you need to know is the back doesn't exist. So you should not even consider this, because you will be certainly disappointed. When I came back, I didn't feel like myself. So first of all, it has been several years since I left, and of course I changed as a person completely. Most of my friends also changed, they moved on with their lives. That didn't include me for the great part, but also the place that I came back to also changed completely. Of course, there were also amazing and good memories. I got married and I had to spend a lot of time with my family, and it definitely felt amazing at that time. However, there was something in me that was telling me that I was not where I was supposed to be. So there was one more decision to take, which was to leave everything behind and to start a life completely from scratch again in the Netherlands, and now together with my husband. And here comes the third chapter of our life, rebuilding and starting our lives completely from scratch in the Netherlands again. So we quit our jobs in Moscow, and with a handful of luggage, but lots of hopes and lots of ambitions, we came to live in the Netherlands, to Amsterdam once again. This time we used another immigration opportunity, which is called the orientation year. This is an opportunity that is given to graduates of Dutch universities or graduates of international universities that fall under 200 best universities worldwide. The coolest thing about this was that we could come with my husband together, and we didn't have to have a job right away. All we needed was to have a proof that we actually qualify for this program and that we have enough savings to sustain our lives while we are looking for the jobs directly in the Netherlands. Looking back, I can really say that it was a good decision to take this opportunity. I really don't know why I was so worried back in the days, because I was not really believing that we could actually make it. I was also thinking that maybe it's too late, that maybe we are too old to do this, but in reality, we were only 25 years old. So starting your life at 25 years old, it's not starting from scratch. So you are supposed to discover who you are. You are supposed to pursue different opportunities. So it was the perfect timing for us. And I'm really glad that we took this opportunity. Both of us were able to find jobs really quickly. I don't know why I was stressing so much about it, but it was not like a super big challenge at all. And from there on, time flew really, really fast. So after 5 years, we could take the cultural and language exams for integration and apply for Dutch citizenship, which we eventually did. The whole process from applying for Dutch citizenship to actually receiving it took approximately 9 months. And of course, I don't know what comes next. Maybe I will get the urge to change my life completely, or maybe I will want to decide to settle down. On the contrary, we'll see. But for now, this part of the journey is complete. To summarize the learnings, here are the 3 most important things that I would really like you to get away from all of this. I actually wrote it down so that I also always remember it and remind myself of it. So first of all, always follow your passion, your dreams, your goals. Prioritize them over any relationships, because if they are meant to be, they will sustain anything. And this one is especially important for my girls, for anybody who is young woman in their 20s watching this. Really think about prioritizing your career, because you will have the time to think about family, because for everything there is time, and your 20s is really the time where you should pursue your opportunities and think who you are and what you want to do with your own life. The second one is, do not live your life thinking that you can back. Unfortunately, from my experience, there is no such thing as going back. The back does not exist, or it's not what you really think it is. Most likely you will be disappointed, because life moves on, everything moves on. So the place where you once left does not exist anymore. And last but not least, don't be afraid to start things from scratch if this is what you're willing to do. Nobody is really paying that much close attention to you. Everybody is doing their own stuff. So you do you. If there's something that you really want to do, even if you are not sure that you can make it, just give yourself a shot and try it. Most likely it will work out. Thank you very much for watching this video. This was my journey and my experience. I hope you've learned something from it, so you don't have to learn from your mistakes, so that you can learn from mine. Please share in the comments your experiences and some of the highlights. Maybe you are thinking about moving abroad, maybe you have moved abroad. So what is one thing that you basically learned from that experience? I would really love to know this. And see you in the next video. Bye!